Hello and welcome back to another Friday stream for WandaVision. Man, episode 8. Imani's joining me and I'm here, of course, your usual two host, co-hosts. What's happening? How you doing? How's your week?
My week was really good. I did some traveling. I did a little cross-country drive with one of my best friends. We drove from Arizona to South Carolina safely. Didn't get pulled over one time, which was great. Speeding may or may not have happened, but that's my business.
That is a fact. Well, are we going to get a more in-depth story on tomorrow's show? Is this something we can hear more about, or
definitely I can talk a little about. I will say the trip wasn't as exciting as we had planned because of all the weather that happened in the middle of the country and all that jazz, like Texas through Oklahoma. One of the cities we stopped in was Memphis, and it was really hit hard by the weather. So I'll definitely go in depth about that tomorrow.
I was about to say, yeah. I mean, that's like one of the craziest winter storms that we've gotten in a while, especially with what happened in Texas.
It's going to take some cities a long time to recover. That's Lord be with those people.
Yeah, definitely. Oh shoot, Parco. Parco's in the chat. Man, I thought you don't get those.
Parco,
if you want to join, if you're ready to go, just let me here. I'll send you the link. I thought I sent that link out there to the chat, unless you're not in that.
Parco, I did think about it, but I was there for a purpose. We had to drive cross country, and I didn't really have time to chill. And I'm sorry, I don't know when I'm gonna be back out there, but we'll work on it. So my bad.
He was trying to join the show. That's what. Okay, so
he was saying I didn't hit him up when I was in Arizona. It makes you feel good. I was only in Arizona for a few hours. We literally got in the car and went. But Parco, you've been holding out. We went to this place called Crumble. It's a cookie spot. That's like a chain that's there. Why didn't you tell people about that? And they ship cookies like across country.
Well, we definitely glad you made it back safe,
yes.
and your friend, of course.
Yes.
Everybody involved. Safe trip, safe travels. Not as eventful as you wanted, but hey, you did it. Would you do it again?
I would do it again. I would absolutely love to do that again. That was a lot of fun. It was my first time driving that much, and I didn't know that I would love it as much as I did. I just thought, driving because we had to. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, as long as the soundtrack is good, my playlist is popping, I could drive for 4 hours, no stop.
Yeah, man. Driving can be therapeutic.
Yeah.
It can be, depending.
Sometimes you gotta take a drive.
You do, man. Sometimes. What Kanye say? Drive slow, homie.
You never know.
I felt that.
Homie.
I felt that.
Pump your brakes and drive slow, homie.
Yeah, I felt that. But anyway, man, let's get into this crazy episode 8. What did you think about episode 8? And actually, before we get into the show too deeply, Parco, you said yep. I'm not sure what you said yep to, but if you are available and you want to join us, text me or
I think that yep is for Crumble. That cookie spot. It gotta be.
Yeah, just for clarity. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna talk about episode 8. And so, what did you rank it 1 to 10? We've been having this debate for each episode now, and I feel like my scale is a little bit off.
My scale is off, but I won't say that. I don't know if I want to give it a number because I don't think the episode was bad. I think as things are winding down towards not winding down, but as we're getting closer to the end, theories that have been running on social media and theories of my own are getting tested, and I don't like it. So, I'm finding out that I'm wrong about certain things. And
that's it. That's the problem. You don't like you don't want to be wrong about your theories. That's what that's about.
Like, was it a good idea for me to sit down and rewatch the show at least twice, before we came on here and take notes just to get my heart crushed? Like, yeah. So, although one thing that, we'll get into it, but there is something that I felt strongly about that this episode did support, and I feel better about that now. So,
yeah. So my thing is, I feel you on that. Like, there were definitely some things that happened in the episode that kind of derailed some of my theories, but I'm okay with it because it sets up some other things that I'm also on board with. So it's kind of like the train derailed but hopped onto another track, and I'm like, I kind of like where this is going. You feel me? Like, maybe depending on where we end up, this episode could be higher up on my scale, or it could be lower, but I'm like at a 7.58 right now. That's kind of sort of where I'm at. If I had to rank it right now, just off of, without knowing what's coming in the next episode in the season finale, I'm at like it could go higher, or I think it'd probably stay where it is because of the emotional stuff that happened in this episode. Um, and some of like the background stuff we got in the Wanda, like that right there gets it up to like that 7 rank for me, because like we got a lot of backstory with Wanda, and I think Elizabeth Olsen did a wonderful job acting in this episode. So like regardless of how all this sort of pans out, like it's up there for me because it's one of her best performances in the show, in my opinion.
I won't argue with any of that, and I definitely agree. The episode wasn't bad, and it's going in a great direction. I'm just a tad salty, but that has nothing to do with the show itself. That's just me. And I think I want to rewatch. I need to rewatch some of the previous interactions between Wanda and Vision. Like, I need to watch Age of Ultron again. It's been a while since I've seen it. I need to watch Civil War again. I think because of how big Infinity War and Endgame was, I kind of put Age of Ultron to the side. Mm-hmm. Not that it was anything wrong with the film, but I just was like, yo, these other Avengers movies are more exciting. Let me watch these. And I need to pay more attention to them.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, the film is now very relevant because of this show. Because, like you said, because of that connection between Wanda and Vision and their interaction. I mean, this and Civil War, well, not this, but Ultron and Civil War are definitely important as far as like how it establishes their relationship. Another thing that this episode kind of did is softly retcon some of the original backstory from Ultron for Wanda and Petrov. It was, and I say it's a soft retcon because it's strongly implied that it was the Infinity Stone that gave them their power, and in this episode, it's revealed that no, they had these powers all along, and the Infinity Stone just kind of unlocked it, kind of like an X gene. Hint, hint, maybe. Seemed to be. I mean, that's how I interpreted it, and that's what I was like. Okay, that's where my theory, one of my theories, got derailed. But I'm like, all right, if this is the direction that we're headed, I'm okay with this.
I wouldn't say that it, maybe in your head you thought of it differently. I took it a different way from what you've expressed in the past. Because I mean, they're still the children of Magneto, even if the MCU doesn't acknowledge it in the show. We still know that to be true. So somehow, some way, they're still something. Like, I would compare them to how Star-Lord didn't know he was the son of Ego when he grabbed that Infinity Stone. He was just trying to protect people and found out he was something else. So I never questioned that they were something, just because we know who their dad is.
Yeah, that part. I mean, the whole family dynamic, the mother and the father that we see, maybe, of course, but there was never, it's not been established. Yeah, it's never been established in the MCU though that Magneto is technically their father, and it is kind of like it could still be, because how it is in the comic books, like I think it's what the Silver Age comic books where I forget who Magneto well, the mother, at least, when Magneto started using his powers and started going by the name of Magneto, she fled before realizing that she was pregnant. Like, they didn't know she was pregnant at the time. And so like that could still be the case. Like, this guy is not really their biological father, and he's basically the stepdad. The person that we see in these flashbacks in this episode, that's still on the table if they wanted to go in that direction, because it's not like they firmly established like a biological connection between him and Wanda and Petrov. He is Sokovian. They're both Sokovian. Like, it's possible that they could have, she and Magneto could have met up, the mom, and then the whole thing happens, and then she meets the father that we see in this scene, and then they end up getting married, and he helps raise Wanda and Petrov. That could be a way they spin it, or they could retcon that and just I don't want that to happen, but I mean, they still left that kind of open for interpretation.
Here's why I think it's still canon that they are Magneto's child. Although I stand firm, Magneto is not coming back to help her. He does not care about his kids.
Oh
The
yeah,
fact
at this point, I
that
think that's been. I think that's.
Agatha
I don't
brought
know.
in a new Pietro, who she called Pietro, it still means something to me that they chose the actor from Days of Future Past. Is it Days of Future Past?
Yes, Days of Future Past
Yes. So
from the Fox universe.
there's
I mean, they specifically, if you put the captions on, it says
right.
Pietro from the Fox universe. Like it says that. So, like, yes, you're absolutely right. It is a conscious decision to do that.
I'm not letting that go.
Yeah, and it. I mean, she didn't even kind of. Her
She just called him
explanation wasn't
Pietro.
even solid. Like she didn't. She kind of said, "Oh, this is not your version of your brother." And you still didn't. You just went with it anyway because of the mental state that you're in. That's basically what she was implying. Um, which is interesting. Like, because now we gotta let's go back to Agatha real quick. Because at the beginning, this intro scene in what is it six? Was it 18? The
The
1800
Salem Witch Trials
during the
when it took
Salem witch
place.
trials,
Mm-hmm.
or a Salem witch trial? It wasn't the
Yes.
Salem witch trials, but it
Yes.
was a because this was conducted by her
Right witches.
fellow coven members, as we learned, which I thought was interesting because initially when they were taking her to the plot, right? I'm like, oh, okay, Salem. I knew what they were going for, like Salem witch trials, and then someone cast a spell to bind her hands, and I was like, wait a second, what's going on here? And then it's revealed that she is. These are fellow witches. That she's apparently done something that breaks the code or whatever of this coven. Um, which my hypothesis, and I shared this with you offline. I think that whatever deed she did, I think she sold her soul to Mephisto, and they found out about it, and this is her punishment because it didn't revealed what she did, um, but I think that's a possibility.
I agree with you. And I think you're supported by the fact that Mephisto would be of the dark dimension. And the magic that she uses is the color purple. That color in Doctor Strange is associated with the dark dimension. And you actually see Dormammu use magic that is purple in the film.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I got to shout out Dan H and Alice in the chat as well. They ranked the episode. Well, Dan gave it a 7. Alice gave it an 8. Since we before we get too far on along with that, but yeah, I think that could have because I mean that's what Mephisto does. He's I think that Agatha wanted the power of the chaos magic, and he couldn't give her power of chaos magic, but
My
he could
son,
give
y'all.
her Chewie. He could give her make her a super powerful witch, um, and that in exchange for her soul. And I think for her, like that's not a terrible trade off. Like I can totally see where she would make that deal to get to become like a supreme witch, um, if you will.
Yeah. And I think from her, this whole episode, what we saw, in my opinion, was jealousy.
Absolutely.
I think I'm starting to move away from the Agatha is working for Mephisto right now theory. And what I'm seeing is Agatha was minding her business and saw a ginormous display of power, of magical power, and didn't understand where it came from and went to investigate and find out why she doesn't know about it.
Yeah, I agree. Which brings me up to my next point. It's like, all right, if she detected this, why hasn't Doctor Strange? Where is he at? What is he doing? Because to me, if she could detect that this anomaly happened, why wouldn't Doctor Strange and why wouldn't he respond? Given the fact that it is Wanda and he knows her personally.
I don't have an answer to that question. I didn't even think about it, but that makes a lot of sense,
They
especially
yeah they
as
they're
all
gonna have
knowing
to
as he
address
is.
that.
He's got to be busy with something because it's been weeks that these people have been like this.
Exactly. And
So
because I wouldn't have raised this question had it not been for Thor and Loki uh using the I keep wanting to call it Frostbite. The
Biofrost.
yeah, to go to Earth. And because he detected that when they arrived in New York. Now, is it just because it's in proximity of New York? But when, I mean, because that's my only question. Like
His
when
Jersey
they
is
landed there, and yeah, Jersey's close enough to where I feel like it would, he would still detect like that level of chaos magic happening. Like this is a rare form of magic. Like no one uses this. So like, why has he not responded? Where is he at? What's keeping him from investigating this further? Um, because Thor and Loki show up and he instantly teleports them to the sanctum and is like confronting them like and
yeah.
questioning what they're doing here, what's going on, like. So it's like, all right, cool. Now that you've established that he's got that level of awareness, what's keeping him from investigating what's going on in Westview?
I mean, I'm having a hard time figuring that out, especially since Agatha showed up so easily and so quickly. I do know that her power, just like that's one thing that I am going to let go. She's clearly in control of these people. She might not understand how. She might not be doing it on purpose, but she is controlling these people. And we saw it today. It's just what's happening. That being said, she's not only put a spell on the people inside, but she's having some sort of effect on people outside. They didn't even know that the town existed. So if it were not for Monica going out with what was his name? Officer
Woo.
I was about to say whoa. If it wasn't for her going to investigate this with Officer Wu, they wouldn't know. Like no one would know about this. So
what? Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, it's Wu. Really, he's the reason why anyone is there because he flew all the way from Oakland, San Francisco, wherever he was, the FBI office, to investigate a missing person. And who is this missing person? Like, who is he looking for? Somebody. Is it one of the people in there? Is it he should have recognized? Oh, never. Maybe it's just a plot device. I'm not sure, but like, it's kind of like, all right, who's this person that you were looking for? Like that flew the coop, apparently.
I think we're gonna find out. That I have no idea.
Yeah,
I'm still a little taken aback about who that could be. I've been thinking about that since what was that, episode 3? We found out about the outside.
Yeah, because he gave his explanation for being there. He's really working. He's working. He's got a person that's in witness protection that lives in West Point or Westview, and that's why he's there in the first place, because he's got to figure out where this person went because they just disappeared. They just kind of sort of vanish out of thin air, and now that it's established that Wanda's used this chaos magic to create this false reality. And to that point, I'll get back to that in a minute because I want to talk to Alice about this Doctor Strange showing up next week. I believe that Doctor Strange will show up next week, but he may not be in the episode until the end. Like, I think it'll be a brief cameo to set up the multiverse of madness, but I don't think his involvement is going to be significant. I don't think he's going to fight, is what I'm like, basically what I'm saying. Like, I think he'll show up and
I agree with you.
At the end, and it'll be like a cameo, and it's the beginning of the multiverse of madness.
I 100% agree with you. And we have another film that completely supports that. Did you watch Spider-Man Far From Home yet?
I have not.
Okay, I've been telling you to watch it, and now I'm trying to go out with these spoilers.
Just spoil it. Yeah, just spoil it. I don't.
It's in the film, one of Tom Holland, aka Peter Parker's teachers, was a chaperone on the trip. They went to Europe, and the entire film, he was going off about his conspiracy theory about witches. Every single problem that happened on the trip, he was like, it's got to be them witches. Those witches added. I told you it was those witches. He says it several times. We know that this takes place well, that movie took place after all of these events that are happening in WandaVision. So like the world finding out about witches happens because of this show.
Ah,
And he
okay,
is
that's interesting.
right. So these events are support his conspiracy theories. Now he is the only person talking about them, and no one else in the film really talks about witches. Although there is an RIP to Vision in the show, which does make me think that maybe he doesn't survive. Excuse me, not in the show, in
In the movie,
the film. In the film,
yeah.
yes, there's several references to Peter Parker passing, but there's one reference to Vision, none for Natasha Romanoff. So it makes me think that, you know, maybe Vision doesn't survive this. But regardless, like he talked about witches so much, but he was the only one. So I think Doctor Strange will show up and do some magic, but it will be too late. Or he may not get to do his magic at all, but he's definitely not going to show up in time to do something.
Yeah. JBM, what's going on?
Yes, you're right. Wanda
Do
Control
your
created all
now.
of that.
Here's something I had to, because I had to do some digging, do some research, and apparently Wanda has until like basically the House of M, she never had full control over her chaos magic, but it was always there. Like it was like she had control of it over like on a subconscious level. So she could do things, but she never understood how or why she could do them. I think that's what we're seeing. So she is completely in full control of this whole situation, the scenario, but she has no idea how she did it. Like she's telling the truth. Because the chaos magic actually originates from who let me pull up this person. Well, you look like you're about to say something.
Oh, I
I
was
gotta
just
look
going
up
to
something.
say, I just want the record to show that I refuse to believe that Wanda went into Sword and stole Vision's body. I said that from
Yeah,
the
that's
jump,
another
that
thing. That
although she was distraught and emotionally, you know, going through a lot, she was suffering. She was not going to break the Accords, the Sokovia Accords that she signed because of what she's done in the past. Yes, she was upset, but she wasn't that upset to consciously break the law.
mm-hmm.
So she did not steal Vision's body. I said that since like episode 1 or whenever we saw that footage, and boom.
Yeah. So there's another key. Director Hayward he knows too much.
I
He
still think
knows
he's
too
a
much
troll.
because he could be, but how would he know, even if he was a scroll, that Wanda can bring people back to life from the dead? Like, how does he know that he has beyond illusion? Because to this point, she's only done illusions. Like she can alter perception of what people are seeing and what people are, you know, can perceive in their minds, but not physically alter reality and definitely not bring anyone back to life. Like she's never exhibited this ability. Like how does he know she can do that? Because he specifically says that to her face. Like you're the only person that has the power to bring him back to life. Like he was on some Palpatine stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like he sounded exactly like when Palpatine was talking to Anakin in Revenge of the Sith, telling him like he had the power to bring his or to save Padme. Like that's basically the same thing that he did to Wanda in that episode. Like
I'm wondering if
that gave me all
it's,
type of red flags.
I mean, if we're being honest, that feels like a lie. That because
But no, she does like
she
in
does
or at
have
least in
the
the comics,
power.
she does have the power to do that. Like it's no question that she can do that. Like, but how does he know that?
Well,
Like
I'm wondering if does he actually know, or does he tell her that knowing that she's not going to bring him back to life, or at least not the way he thought? Because I mean, in this episode, she does go down there, she tries, and she fails. And it's also a lie that she's the only person who can bring him back, when technically he was printed
but
and
that's
had
a
a consciousness uploaded into him by human beings.
but what gave him life was the Mind Stone. And it's the same, like the Mind Stone also enabled her powers as well. I realized that was the connection in this episode that they have. Like they were both in contact with the Mind Stone. Like the Mind Stone directly gave Vision life, and it was what she came into contact with to enable her chaos magic.
Well, he would
Basically,
know that. He would know that her power was created by the Mind Stone, and he would also know that Vision would have been.
but
So,
that
I mean,
how does that equate to? Because here's like within the comic book lore, right? Like the chaos magic is something that is it's a myth almost. Like
mhm.
even in the comic books, Doctor Strange didn't believe that it was real, and like he's Sorcerer Supreme until like Wanda exhibited her full power is when he realized, oh, okay, this chaos magic stuff is real because it's from like a god. Like that makes her like is because her having chaos magic makes her like one of the more powerful characters in the entire in all of Marvel. Um, even at like at full power, she's more powerful than he is.
I mean, if we want to go back to previous episodes, let's just say I still stand firm that he is a Skrull, right? And the only thing a Skrull knows how to do is, or at least the Skrulls that we've seen on screen as pretending to be, people involved in Shield and in Sword, they have one goal, and that's to keep people safe. And he, from the beginning, has not been very trusting of people with enhanced powers. And he does his research. We know that he knows everything he possibly can. Any information that Stark had and that anyone had about Wanda, he would essentially have. And I would assume that he would have had this well before the Hex was created. Even though he thought she was gone in the blip, I could see that he still did his research. I don't think so.
This is where I'm at. Yo, we on
I
Cuzzo,
don't
we
think
on the
so.
same page with this. This dude he is evil.
I
This
don't think
man
he's evil.
he is Palpatine. You don't understand. This is how Palpatine was able to take control. He just plants the seeds, man. He gives you ideas, even if he didn't know she was capable of doing that and pulling that off. The fact that he was bold enough to say that to a witch, right? To someone that potentially has the power to do that. Like, why would he say that? He has an ulterior motive. Like if he's supposed to be protecting like okay, to your point, he's if he let's say he's a scroll, right? What benefit would it be to him for Wanda to bring people back from the dead? Like, especially Vision, because he's not, if she did that, it wouldn't be to serve his interests. So, like, what's the point of him even saying that?
I can't say what the point of him saying that would be.
Because he's Mephisto.
I
Boom.
don't think he's Mephisto, but I do think that he saw Vision as a weapon, just as that. Not necessarily to harm, but to protect. I don't think he has Ultron on his brain. I think he has
He definitely has Ultron
protect.
on his brain. He doesn't want the conscious version uh of of Vision. He wants the Ultron dominant version of Vision, which is what we see at the end. He's already created Vision. Like Vision, like he already has a version of Vision and some power. What did he? What so the what was it? The drone, right? It still had Wanda's hex magic on it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they transferred that to power up White Vision
Not
at
White
the end in
Vision.
that
I'm
cousin.
dead.
Yeah, that's that's what it's trending as. He's the white. The original Vision is
It's
white. It's
trending
all
on
white.
Twitter as White Vision.
Yeah, but that's the original like Silver Age version of Vision. Like he was just this white android that was created by Hank Pym and someone else using the instead of using the Mind Stone, it was like one of the a dead Avenger, and I can't remember which Avenger it was, but they transferred his consciousness into Vision, and that's what gave him life, and that's the original version of Vision. So uh,
White
the
Vision.
the
White Vision
yeah
is
the color the red and blue tint or red and silver Vision came later. So yeah, but this version of Vision is more of an android. Like he doesn't have like the emotional awareness of the uh not Friday. What's the Jarvis? The Jarvis Vision. The Mind Stone Jarvis Vision. Like he's not it's not that version. Like this is more like Spock and Data. Well no, Data's not really. Data is he's he's cold and calculative. Like he can't emotionally connect or attach to people the way that the Infinity Stone version can.
All right. You know that chart that goes from like lawful good all the way to chaotic evil?
Yes.
All right. The director is not giving me chaotic evil. The director is giving me lawful evil. He's giving me, at the very least, yeah, he's giving me lawful evil.
That's what Palpatine is.
He wants to do the right thing, and he's going about it the wrong way.
That's not lawful evil.
So then
lawful evil is like there. That's like you're a dictator, basically. Like you have laws and codes. Like there's a certain way you rule like a dictator. Your way or the highway, basically. That's
okay. That's what my brain. That's just not what came out of my mouth. That's what I think that is.
Okay, well then, yeah. So all right, but it's not like his. For right or for wrong.
But wouldn't the devil be chaotic evil? He's the devil.
No, he wouldn't be chaotic evil. He wouldn't be chaotic evil because
everything we've discussed, Mephisto gives me Voldemort.
But he's not trying to spread chaos. Like he gets power from just basically all the negative emotions of humanity. And from the souls, like in his dimension, he's all powerful. Like you can't touch him. But in the Earth realm, like, yeah, he's manipulative. Like he's gonna do whatever he has to do in order to get you to do what he wants you to do. Which and is right that's where he's like Palpatine. It's not about chaos. Like he only will use chaos if it's going to achieve his means. But that's not his default. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's like chaos. Like Palpatine wouldn't go to chaos unless it's absolutely necessary, and I don't think Voldemort would go to chaos either. Like Voldemort is like, yo, humans are a plague. They gotta go.
You don't think that's chaotic?
Evil? That's not chaotic. That's his law. Like you don't say chaotic evil is like I don't care. Like it's me, and screw everybody else. That's chaos. Like he doesn't care how he achieves whatever. Like it's not about. He doesn't have some overarching goal for a certain group of people. It's just about him or her.
Okay. I think that the director and Monica had the same goal. Well, no, I don't want to say Monica had this goal. Monica's goal, in my opinion, was more about helping Wanda than it was saving the people. I do believe that the director really does want to save all those people, and he's going to save those people by any means necessary.
Yes, that still makes him lawful evil, but yes,
cares about those people. Why would Mephisto care about those people? Does
he care about these people?
I think
or is he trying to get? Does he want? Because Sword although he is the director of Sword has a mission, and if he wants to achieve his ends, he's got to still play along and present himself as the person that is the rational leader of this agency. So he would lead them on to believe that this is what he wants, but in reality, like he's got ulterior motives. And through that manipulation, everyone under his chain of command is being deceived into doing something that they are fully aware of.
I'm having a hard time finding the
because you see what I'm saying? Because like because they aren't not everyone under his command are purely evil. Like they believe that this is the right thing to do, and he's got to keep them convinced that they are doing the right thing so that they can.
What if he has to keep them convinced because he's not who he says he is, and by the person he really is a Skrull who's there to do a job. He was put there by Nick Fury. He's doing that job a little too hard. Unfortunately, you still have not seen Spider-Man Far From Home to see an example of a Skrull that's doing their job too hard.
But now it's possible that the Skrulls could also be under the influence of Mephisto. And yes, okay, to your point, the director may not be Mephisto. He might be a Skrull, but that Skrull might be an agent of Mephisto. And this, let's say this
That I
radical
won't
group
argue with. But
of Skrulls that are like trying to take over Earth are doing so on behalf of Mephisto.
I won't argue that, but that's different from the director being Mephisto. I truly believe
I'll give you
the way
that.
that the Skrull speaks and the way he moves and the way he acts is just like the Skrull who, spoiler, since you still haven't watched the movie, was not pretending, he was giving the task by Nick Fury to pretend to be Earth's Nick Fury while Nick Fury was on vacation in space in that movie. And this Skrull to me is acting just like that, which is why I refuse to let it go. The Skrull,
is he on vacation, or is he working with Sword and
he's on Nick Fury vacation, but he gave the Skrull a simple task, and that task was to
impersonate
him and give something to Spider-Man and make sure that nothing was going crazy on Earth. But instead of actually like doing Nick Fury and making sure everything is okay, he just went down there and was mean, thinking that that's what he's supposed to do since he's pretending to be Nick Fury, and all hell breaks loose. And then he has to report back at the end of the film, which is when we find out that he's a Skrull. And it makes a lot of sense because if you're watching the film, you're just thinking like, dang, like Nick Fury is just being a butthole. He's really evil. Like, he's just not evil, but he's being really mean and not paying attention, which is out of character for him. And then at the end, you realize, okay, that's why he's a Skrull. That's why he's trying to move so fast. And the director just throwing that drone in there, trying to shoot her down, that seemed very Skrullish to me. Like, they have a task, they just want to get it over and done with, and he thinks it's that simple because he's a stupid Skrull. Now, I won't disagree that the Skrulls are working for Mephisto, but that guy, he's a Skrull, and I just can't see anything past it. Ever since I've recognized he's a Skrull, he just does more and more Skrull things to me.
I can agree with that. I can see like that's a theory I can run with as well. I mean, because I was on board with that originally too, but then either way, he isn't who he says he is. Like, this is not the real director Hayward. Like, that much we can confirm. Like that,
especially with how he was speaking to Monica. He was speaking to Monica as someone who has done research with her and not someone who has a relationship with her.
Yeah. So I completely agree with that. I think, Nick Fury is probably out working with Reed Richards on some stuff out in deep space, and was possibly, and
he's got to be deep space, because if he's not on Earth in Spider-Man Far From Home, which takes place months after this movie, then he's definitely not on Earth now. There's no way he's on Earth and just letting this happen.
We'll see if I wouldn't be. Is he going to appear in Falcon and the Winter Soldier? And that's coming out what, week after next? Or
yes, that comes out the next Friday after the last episode of WandaVision. And Loki is break. I don't think there's a break. I think it goes right into it.
Okay,
I can double check that now though.
Yeah, I thought it was a week, maybe like a week off, but I may be wrong, because I think that I know that the show, the gallery version from Marvel is also coming out, and that might be in that week. I think that's where there's a gap. Possibly, I might be wrong though, but yeah, Falcon and the Winter Soldier is up next for sure.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier comes on March 19th, so that would be a gap, because the last episode of WandaVision is next week.
Yeah, so I think the week following the season finale of WandaVision is the gallery for WandaVision, and then I think that's the first episode, and then Falcon and the Winter Soldier picks up that the following week. So yeah, I mean, we're moving through these months, man. June is when.
Also, there's a really big gap in between Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki.
How many episodes is Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
6.
Oh yeah, that's really short.
Is it 6? Hold on. Let me double check that.
That sounds right, but 6. I mean, 6 weeks is not it's not a long time.
Yes,
basically
6 episodes. The final episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Is What If coming out in between Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki?
The
I'm trying to
first
look
episode
on.
date is 2021. It hasn't been released, but we have exact episode. We have the full series, the time from for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and we have the start date for Loki. There's no
Yeah, so
start
it
date
must
for
be
this.
so it must be after. It's probably going to be like later in the year. Then it'll be after. It has to be after Loki because they dropped the Loki release date um this past week. So and then the Bad Batch got the May 4th release date, and that is kind of the stopgap between Falcon and the Winter Soldier and
Yes,
Loki.
that's exactly what that is. Disney said they don't. Ooh, they're smart. They don't want any competition. Although I think the same people who would watch those shows would be just as excited to watch Marvel on the same day. But I understand it. So
I
yes,
want to.
there's
I
going
don't
to
know
be.
how many episodes the Bad Batch is going to be per season because those can be pretty lengthy. Like that could be like a 10 week. It could end up running concurrently with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and it's on the same day. Like everything is premiering on Friday. Like Falcon and the Winter Soldier comes out on a Friday. It'll be filling in the gap for this show. Loki, I look because it's the 11th, correct? But
Yeah, Falcon and
whatever
the
day
Winter Soldier
that's a
starts
Friday.
on March 19th and ends on April 23rd. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of no Marvel before Loki starts on June 11th.
But it stops when April what? April 19th.
April 23rd is the last day
April
of
23rd. Okay, so that's
Falcon and
like
the Winter
what
Soldier.
a week. So then it'll be like a gallery for Falcon and the Winter Soldier,
Mm-hmm.
and then Bad Batch comes out that following week, which is on a Friday.
What's coming out on the 4th?
That's the Bad Batch for Star Wars.
That's not a Friday.
That's not a Friday.
That's a Tuesday. Isn't May 4th your birthday?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
Okay. Well, okay, then that works out. So because I think those series are going to run concurrent to each other. I think what was that? Season 7 was like 8 episodes. So it's going to be like 8 to 10 episodes. That's like 8 to 10 weeks, and that's not enough time. So Loki and Bad Batch will be running at the same time for a while.
What if they decide to do a double release on May 4th and then go back to everything coming out on Friday?
That could also be an option, but I think they need to stagger their releases because if they're gonna increase like the production schedule like they plan to, like they're gonna have to start putting stuff out on other days during the week and not everything fall on Friday. I think right now it's just
That makes
convenient.
sense.
But anyway, back to WandaVision because we get no Monica in this episode. And they left us on a pretty weird cliffhanger at the end of that in the end credit scene of episode 7 because Petrov confronts Monica.
Okay, so I just discovered this week that there are post-credit scenes, and last week I didn't watch it, and then today I didn't watch it until someone mentioned it to me.
Oh,
So
okay. Well, yeah,
I
I
did
think
not see
it's
that.
yeah. So
I didn't even know it
that's
was
in
there.
there. Spoiler. Yeah, no, it's just like in the movies, like you got those initial like graphics credits with all of
Mm-hmm.
the motion graphics and everything going on. At the end of those is when they have another post credit scene, and then it goes into the standard black and white credits.
So
Um,
Pietro confronts Monica, and what does he say?
so Monica is walking around the outside of Agatha's house, trying to like. It looks like she's trying to get a view of the inside, and then she goes around to the side where the basement is, and it's like it looks like it's warded. She opens the doors, and we see the roots and the columns of the basement, and like it's got the purple dark magic imbued around the roots, and Petrov just like uh, pops up and is like creepers or Snooper's gonna snoop. I think that's what he says, and then she turns around real quick, and then it's in scene.
Well, that supports Agatha being the one to control him. I wonder who he
But
is.
that's wild. The fact that she can do that and still have this confrontation with, like, because how is all of this falling in place? You know what I'm saying? Like, because this
Well,
is
this episode. Sorry, my son. This episode taught me that Agatha is way more powerful than I thought. I completely underestimated her. I didn't think that she was weak, but I didn't think she was as capable of magic as she is. Like the backstory that I read on her, it looks a lot different on screen, especially seeing that she absorbed the power from other witches, and how she is just she has complete control over Wanda in the basement. Like,
Yeah, well, those are, but it's runes though, because she's those protection runes that she's placed prevent Wanda from using her magic at all. So Wanda is unprotected, like she can't defend herself. That's why she can so easily uh, overpower her. Now, outside is going to be a little different depending on how much control. She might have an edge over Wanda at this point because Wanda doesn't have full control of her power at this point in time.
yeah,
Uh, she created the alter. She doesn't know how she created all of that. Like she's being honest. She has no idea how she did that. Um, which is an advantage for someone like Agatha because this is where skill beats talent because clearly Wanda is the superior talent, but she's the one that's got all the skill and the training. She's the one that's got like the years of experience and knows she can beat her just based off her experience alone, and Wanda being relatively inexperienced with her magic.
yeah. This episode taught us that Wanda she's powerful, but she's a really whack witch.
Yeah. She
Like,
didn't have because she didn't know what the runes were. Like that was she was because Agatha was taunting her at the beginning of the episode. Like she was like, you don't know what runes are. Like how are you witch? Like she's hitting her with all these fundamentals, and like she has no idea. Like because
would be
if
shooting in the gym. That's
right
basically what she said.
yeah, because just basically like she's like, yo, if you should have saw those runes on the walls before you entered this space and known not to enter this space, but you just completely ignored it, walked right into the trap. So you clearly don't have the experience. And she was alluding to that the whole time, like the whole episode, while they were going on their grand adventure through Wanda's past, that she has no idea of what she's doing. Like
Agatha clocked that she was a witch basically the moment she came into the hex. She walked straight into her home on the first episode.
yeah,
So Agatha definitely had that sight, and Wanda didn't pick it up at all. Like, just completely incapable of recognizing when another witch is in front of her.
yeah,
And
yeah.
Doctor Strange is essentially a wizard, right?
Sorcerer.
Gotcha.
Slight difference because sorcerers, they borrow their power from powerful beings from other dimensions.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
like yeah, like the wizard, which is no, not really, but um yeah, like so they witches draw power from like other dimensions but not from other dimensional beings, like the sort like Doctor Strange pulls all his power from other dimensional beings. So like
Gotcha.
if he wanted to, he could pull like power from what's his name? What's the who's he
Magic
fighting?
was magic was always within Wanda, but Doctor Strange didn't always have magic in him.
Right. Because he's not a magical being. Like he's just a human, and that's he's drawing on the power from other dimensions to give him control over magic.
I'm so excited for the multiverse of madness because I don't know what I don't know what we're in for. I just know it's a lot.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah,
I'm super hyped for Spider-Man. I'm even more excited for Spider-Man now, just because of all of this. Something's
and
telling. I don't know when Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to take place. I know it's going to be more action-packed, more brawling, more like combat fighting than because they're both military compared to Wanda, who is a witch. So we're going to have a different kind of show. But I'm excited to see how this affects it, or if it does.
which I mean, I'm looking forward to it because of that because be it has to be impactful and it knows what is coming behind. Like it's like this show started out slow, but like what it's built up to, like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier has kind of sort of uphill because they aren't superheroes, like they aren't super powered beings. So it's going to be more of like hopefully in the vein of Winter Soldier, uh, with its um plot and the writing and the overall story being more of like a spy thriller, action adventure, James Bond type of and or Jason Bourne type of adventure. That's kind of sort of what I want to see with that. Like, and I want to see like a lot of character development out of these characters because Falcon. I mean, both of them. I don't really care for that much. Out of all of the other Avengers characters, I think them, and then Hawkeye, and like the ones who aren't. I think the only one that is Black Widow of all of the non-powered was probably one of my favorite, and then Hawkeye just because I like people who use bow and
She was
arrows.
there from from day one.
Yes, yeah, but she's like, yeah, so like we've already got a lot of on her and Hawkeye. Like both of them were there from the jump, and we hadn't gotten a lot on Sam and Winter Soldier because they've been basically side characters. And for Winter Soldier, he was like a villain for a point in time. So
Yeah, I think we've actually seen more of Falcon on screen than we have of Winter Soldier actually being good. Like we have him as Bucky in Captain America, but that's before he became the Winter Soldier. Then of course we have him as the Winter Soldier. He was bad for all of like 2 seconds in that film. And then you get to Civil War where we actually get to see him be himself. So yeah, we definitely need to see him more being himself, and then just also fighting. I enjoy the jokes of people talking about him on social media, like during Endgame, or he could do shoot people. I thought that was funny. But it would be nice to see him put in that work.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
I'm excited.
well, and they're both following in the heels of Captain America. Like that's a long shadow. You know what I'm saying for them,
Yeah.
and which makes that an interesting story to write because they do have to kind of fill that space and like how do they do that and then still maintain who they are and like because it's not about or at least for me in my opinion it's not about becoming Captain America but it's understanding what Captain America represented and honoring his legacy but also being themselves
Right.
and like trying to find their own path, which I mean that's always an interesting like uh trope in storytelling, especially with heroes and the hero's journey in fantasy like that. So like, yeah, I'm interested definitely in this. And I forgot about the Hawkeye series because that's I don't know when is that coming out? Probably 2022 or later
I don't
on
even
this
know,
year.
but that's expected to take place during the blip, like when everybody was gone in that 5 year span, right?
No, it's after. It's after.
After?
Yeah,
Oh, I wanted
but
to know
I
when
think
he's
it takes
doing.
place. I think in the timeline it takes place after the events of the Multiverse of Madness.
Mm.
I want to say I might be wrong. I don't quote me on that. I could be completely off. But yeah.
I wanted to see him kind of lose his mind and go out on a killing spree and becoming a serial killer because he lost his family and now he just wants to fight everybody that's bad.
Oh, when he's Ronin,
Yeah.
they could still do a Ronin story, but that would I mean because he does become Ronin during that 5 year span, but that's a completely different. Like this is not what that series is about. Is him. Well, he'll have to probably deal with some of the trauma and the experiences of what he did, but um who I forget the young archer. I think that I'm pretty sure that's his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
That yeah, that he's training to basically take his place, and she'll be in the Young Avengers. But like him having to deal with the trauma of what he did in that 5 year span while she was going, like if they add that into that series, I think that would be a very interesting dynamic too. Because then you can show flashbacks to some of the violent stuff that he did and like his time as a Ronin. Um, I think the flashbacks and all of that is within that story is a better show than like a Ronin story. They could do like a Ronin movie, but to do it like a show, I don't know. I don't know. That'd be interesting.
I don't want to know. Maybe we'll get flashbacks.
But yeah,
I'm
I
cool with
think the
that.
flashbacks would work because like the flashbacks and the act like the brutality and all of that would be kind of cool to add to that show. Him having PTSD too, and him having to deal with like the grief of losing Natasha. and all that. Yeah, I don't
Um,
know, man. That could be
a
an interesting
little
show.
a little unrelated. I'm enjoying how Marvel displays age and trauma on their heroes. Like, for example, how in Logan, how dementia was destroying Professor X's mind and also causing him to hurt people unconsciously. And now we have how grief is affecting Wanda and, causing so many other people pain. We're starting to learn that our heroes are just a danger to themselves and the world when their mind is not right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Completely unrelated. Logan was really good and nobody talks about it enough. And I want to watch it again just because I'm
They
thinking about
did
it.
when it came out.
Well, we didn't
When
have
did what year did that come out? That was like 2013, 2014.
Logan came out 2014,
That was a while ago.
2017,
Was it 20? Was that recent? I feel like,
2017. It's because we didn't have a show. That's all.
but it was buzzing like crazy because it had like
Maybe
people
there was no
people
more
were
talk.
lobbying for it to get like Academy Awards and like I mean that movie definitely got its flowers for sure. Uh, very well received by both fans and critics. Like that was one of the because it kind of saved the Fox well at least the populace's perception of the Fox X-Men universe that movie did because it just and it showed that like superhero movies could get really serious and hit those dramatic beats that a lot of people say that these types of movies can't or aren't made for. So yeah, it was praised for sure.
I just checked and it's only on Hulu with live TV, but I think you can also watch it on FX if you have cable.
That's gonna change. That should be changing soon. I mean,
That's what I
Star.
said.
It should
I
be
would
on
hope,
Star.
but
That's because it should be. It should that should be on the Star service once that launches. But when is that launching?
I feel like they said February.
Well, uh,
That ends in 2 days. So
yeah,
we'll see.
they got about 2 days to launch that. I did get a notice that the price was going to go up for that for Disney Plus. When I logged in to watch WandaVision, so
That's
I'm pretty
fine
sure. I'm
because I just
assuming that's
upgraded.
going to launch. Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm assuming. Oh, okay, that means Star is coming out soon. Because why would you upgrade the price without giving me that?
Shout out to Verizon. I now have free Disney Plus, ESPN, and Hulu with my account because I upgraded my data package. So I
What
will be
to? Is
activating
that
that.
with the unlimited?
That's so there's levels to unlimited, which I found out when I was
How
using
Sway?
Jehovah.
How do you got levels to
That's what I
unlimited?
said. So during my cross country drive, when I was using so much
Capitalism.
data with my GPS, it started to act funny. And I called Verizon. I was like, yo, what's up with my phone? And they were like, yo, you have data, right? But after 15 gigs, we slow it down. But we can upgrade you so that after 50 gigs, we slow it down. And you get hotspot. And I was like, that don't even make sense. How much is it? And they were like, $10 cheaper than what you're
Oh,
paying for right now. And I was like,
okay.
what?
But that's basic, man. That's so stupid. Oh,
It is
capitalism.
very stupid. But I needed it.
It's very capitalistic. That's what that is.
Yes.
It's
And I needed
capitalistic.
it because I needed my GPS. So I was like, just go ahead and upgrade me. And they were like, no problem. You also get Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN free of charge. And I was like, it better be free of charge.
Coop Daddy Yoda
Coop
in the
Daddy
building.
Yoda.
Yeah, it's hey, that's it's capitalism, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's capitalism. That's all. But yeah, so we hit our hour mark. I think I've covered everything I want to talk about with this episode. I
I
still
think I
feel
did
like for
too.
me it's still at that 7.58 because I think I'm regardless of where this next episode takes us, the season finale, of course. I think it's still a solid episode because of, like I said at the beginning, like the Elizabeth Olsen scenes, with her, going through critical moments in her past. I thought was great. Um, it was the episode, and I think she acted brilliantly. Like it was one of her best performances as Wanda, in my opinion.
So I think, unlike um, Mandalorian, which was the first Star Wars show on Disney Plus, it's not directly connected to anything that they had on the schedule that people knew about, right? Like there's no tie into you needed to watch this in order to understand what's happening. It was kind of its standalone story. Now, if you
That's
were to
true. Yeah,
watch
yeah,
other things, you would have understood a little bit more about what was going
yeah.
on. But in a way,
You talking about for the Mandalorian?
right.
Yeah,
But in a
yeah, yeah.
way, you can be a person who doesn't know what's going on and still enjoy that show. I don't
Yeah.
feel that way about WandaVision. I do feel like WandaVision is a show that you wanted to watch the movies and then watch this so that you really know what's going on. I couldn't imagine watching it without it. I've had friends watch it who don't watch the Disney, excuse me, the other Marvel films, and they tapped out early because they were like, "What the heck is this?"
Yeah.
That being said, I don't think we should expect a happy ending or even just like a closed ending. It's going to be very open ended, and we people should not expect things to get wrapped up nicely. Like this is going to be ended so that we can expect a film to follow it to clean it up.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you on that because they did say that it's a foundation like for phase 4 basically. Like everything is built upon this series. So for it to wrap up nicely and have a nice conclusion finale, I wouldn't expect that at all. I think really all it's going to do is open up the floodgates for everything that's to come. Um, there'll be some resolution as to what's going on and how they're going to move forward, but like I don't see this being tied up at all. Um, like a finite, like no, not and not open in the way where they're going to have season 2 of WandaVision because that's not in the works. But whatever they set up in the finale is going to play out in the other movies and other properties. So, um, yeah, and that's where it differs from the Mandalorian, and it can afford to take that risk versus season 1 of the Mandalorian. It couldn't really do that. It had to stay a little more. It has to stay a lot very grounded for it because it's the first live action Star Wars show. So like, yeah, it had to kind of sort of. It couldn't leave anybody on the fringes. Like they had to pull in as many people as possible. Where this is kind of like this is for hardcore fans and for people like us that are going to come in and have conversations about it in the first place. Like that's what this show is designed for. Like, um, not really to appeal to a wider audience, but it has the ability to do that. But I don't think that's what they were going for. Like it's kind of like, oh yeah, if you get it, cool. If you don't, go talk to your nerd friends. They'll
Right. Or
they'll fill you in.
if you really don't care, we got a new show starting in 2 weeks, so you'll be all right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm pretty sure that might be one that will be easier to follow along. Like it's not going to have the same narratives that this show began with. And then of course Multiverse of Madness. I'm pretty sure you can watch that without watching this show really and follow along.
Coop Daddy Yoda is curious. He says, should a superhero have a love interest? I kind of find it whack when they do, unless it's like Superman and all he does is save Lois.
But that's so that can get really tiresome. Like it can't really be about the love interest. Like yeah, it can be there. Like for instance, the relationship between Tony and Gwen, like that's perfect. That. Like yes. It doesn't overshadow the story. But you know that they both care for each other deeply. But it's not like overtly in your face. Like everything is about Iron Man saving Lois or Gwen. It's she's there, and Spider-Man and Mary they're the same way in a way. Like it's not overshadowing the overall story. Like it's there. We know that relationship exists.
Yeah.
But it's not like the main plot in everything is centered around. Like sometimes it can feel like Superman that like the story is there to for him the entire plot is built around him saving Lois Lane. Like even when there's other villains involved, like somehow she's central to the story, and it's kind of like that's lame. Like I don't want to.
Even though Batman can't help but do anything but beat up men, he seems to fall in love with evil women all the time.
He does, bro. He
Like
has.
he's like, yo,
He
like, wow,
definitely
are
has a
you a
type.
good woman? I want parts. Where the evil chicks at?
He has a type,
So
man.
that kind of makes it not fun or not okay. I don't know.
Well,
It's not.
depending on how they execute it, because it can. There's a level of interest, right? Because it's like well, they're both doing dangerous stuff to
Mhm.
where either one could fall victim to the activities they engage in, but it's never about Batman saving his love interest. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
that the whole damsel in distress thing that's tired. Like throw that away. Don't ever use that again. As far as I'm concerned, like
I didn't like it in Thor 2. I understand
that's
that
and
it's
that movie
necessary.
suffered. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it suffered. That was definitely not helpful for
I
that. Like no, we
understand
don't
that
want to see that.
it was necessary for Thor: Love and Thunder, and I hope. I'm not a big fan of the Thor trilogy. I'm just gonna say that I think that the Thor Ragnarok was a beautiful film, but I didn't find it like I watched it once and I haven't been excited to watch it again.
That but that to me that movie is a theater movie. Like like
Yes.
I enjoyed the experience of watching that movie in the theater. And the first film is still my favorite of the Thor movies, but Ragnarok is definitely tied. It's up because I enjoyed it so much. Like um it wasn't what I was expecting, but the change in how they told the story was a welcome change. It went into a different direction, but that direction was it, at the end of the day, it was a good one, in my opinion.
Okay. I watched Thor 1 again this weekend, and I wish I didn't do it because I now dislike that movie even more. Remember how
I
JPM was complaining about the glamour shots of Wonder Woman in the films, and it was all like a beauty pageant, and oh, she's so pretty. Let's just zoom in on
Yeah,
her face for no reason. If I saw Natalie Portman's face on screen one more time during this movie, I was gonna have a fit. Like every 2 seconds, she didn't even have powers in that film.
yeah.
What was she doing?
Well,
So
and I don't think she doesn't. And Natalie Portman obviously did not have. She had no interest in playing that role. Like if that was going to be the role going
right,
forward, like that's why she. And I feel her like for boycotting in her way. Like she power to her because that no one we don't want to see that. And like she's a higher caliber actress like
than
that
that,
can
yes,
do better. Uh, give her some better performances. Challenge her a little bit.
absolutely. Because that was, man,
That wasn't it.
it wasn't it.
That wasn't it at all. That wasn't it. And then when they doubled down on it in the second episode, that didn't, or next second episode, but the second movie, that didn't help at all. Like I'm pretty sure she was tired, and I feel her because it's like I can only imagine. I hadn't seen the first film in a while, but I can only imagine how that looks now.
Now that I think about it, besides that film, although Marvel doesn't give as many women films as I think they should, they do a good job in giving the female love interest a mind of her own, and she's not some weak thing except for in that movie. Like you had Peggy in Captain America, who was about her business, who was a working army woman, wasn't afraid to pull the trigger. You had Pepper Potts, who was, CEO of Stark and was never afraid to get her hands dirty and even put a suit on for the last film. Although Gamora was a love interest, she was still, fighting up a storm. So yeah, Marvel does a better job than some of making women not look useless.
Yeah. They definitely you feel like they can handle themselves. Like
Definitely. Or even like how dare I forget to mention not Doctor Strange, Black Panther. Not only did you have
oh yeah, they were all
the
yeah.
Doro Milaje, but you also had Nakia, who was a spy who was out there, working when she was interrupted. And even the Sorcerer Supreme in Doctor Strange. Women definitely are not useless in Marvel. So I would say the only DC has an issue with that. Although they do have Wonder
Yeah,
Woman, but they
especially the TV show. But the TV shows are oh, jeez, it's
oh,
like
let's not forget Jessica
straight up,
Jones.
straight up 1950s. That's why I like Jessica Jones so much. Like she was different. Like I enjoyed watching her exploits.
Yeah.
Like Like she was just rough, you know, but like
Yes, rough is the
then
perfect
she
word to
was rough, man.
describe
Like she was just, but it was enjoyable, like
her.
to see that kind of like she felt real, you know, kind of like and you kind of like think that with like Star Wars and with the 80s action films with the Alien and like all the other women leads that Hollywood kind of went away from that damsel in distress thing because like I never ever got the sense that, for instance, like Princess Leia was ever in need of saving. Like, yeah, she was locked away in the fortress, but like the minute they gave her a gun, like she was blasting stormtroopers immediately, and
Absolutely.
that wasn't common for the 70s when that film came out. So it's like the evolution happened a long time ago, and it was weird to see it return for a time. And I'm glad that Marvel was like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're gonna
Yeah.
stick to the strong female
I'm
lead.
I'm excited for Love and Thunder. I'd like Natalie Portman's character to get out there and rough some people up.
Yeah, Taika Waititi he's very interesting as a director. He's a very interesting character too, and just in
Yes.
person in general. Like if you ever seen him in an interview or like he's a character, and his personality comes through in his films, and like he's definitely someone that you gotta put the right project. Like he can't be on any type of project. Like it's got to fit his personality because it's going to bleed through. Like I think he would kill a Suicide Squad movie. Like I think better than James Gunn. I think that if they gave Taika Waititi a Suicide Squad film, like he would murder that because that's exactly the type of person he is.
We have to talk about DC on tomorrow's show because
We don't do we have show notes?
we will have show notes.
For right. I don't
Because
yeah.
I didn't put them down, but I was just thinking today, and you just reminded me. Like I don't even want to get into it on this show, but we have to have a conversation about DC for the 1 millionth time on tomorrow's show.
Yeah, I think so. I'm cool with that because that's they DC is in an interesting place. Oh, and then we have the J.J. Abrams news too with the Superman reboot without Henry Cavill, or at least that's what I saw.
That's why
Is
we're
that
talking
true?
about. That's
That's
what
why we're
I'm
talking
talking.
about it. So now we're
Well,
all right.
we
Never
have to
mind.
talk about it regardless because yeah, we gotta talk about DC more.
All right, so we're gonna talk. We're gonna have a DC conversation tomorrow,
Yes.
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on this channel. The cookout will be going in on DC apparently. And then our community discussion following. I don't know. Do you know what the community discussion is? Because we did establish one, and I kind of want to run with it because I thought it was kind of
What is
fun.
it? Tell me.
So we it was like off the cusp type thing, but we're talking about candy, and then we realized, yo, what type of candy would make for a good movie or TV show? Like if you think about like M&Ms for example, like you could make an M&M movie. I don't understand how there hasn't been
Oh,
an
the
M&M
Sour
movie.
Patch Kids.
Exact, there's a bunch, right? Like there's a bunch
Hmm.
of candy that has caricatures, right? That
Hmm.
you could somehow develop a plot around and flesh out, and that's what we were going to do for our community discussion.
Let's do it. And then we gotta do a follow
Yeah.
up about just food items in general because the first thing that popped up in my mind was not a candy. And I realized very quickly that wasn't candy. But I
Well,
like that. Tomorrow we
because I
talk.
think it had what spawned it, what triggered it was like the emoji movie, and then realizing like they have all in the Lego movie, they have all of these different types of movies, and then like every time you go to a movie theater, they have those M&M commercials.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yo, they've never made an M&M movie. Like how for as long as
That
I could remember, they've been having those M&M
yes.
commercials and movies playing before the theater before
Did you see
feature.
Sausage Party?
That was also part. So all of that was a part of the conversation that led to this topic.
Okay, I'm hyped. That tomorrow we're talking about candy for the community discussion. Let's do it.
Perfect. All right, so we'll see you at
So
8 p.m.
yes,
Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, and then
yes,
join me and maybe some other guests. I don't know, but you could definitely join me on
Sunday.
Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Star Wars Sunday on Starlight Beacon. We'll be talking about the Bad Batch and what our expectations are for that season one of that show, because there are a lot of things actually it could kind of sort of flesh out within this time period. There's a lot of things that we hadn't really covered in that specific time period of Star Wars. Um, Possibly some connections to Andor. We'll see. Let's talk about it. Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Meet me here for that Star Wars discussion.
Yes. Follow us on socials at Certified Gumbo on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch. If you love us, if you enjoy what we do, please help us do this even further. Buy us some coffee. The link to that is in the description box below. Please join us on Discord. We have these conversations all day, every day. If you'd love to catch up with us, if you have a show or a topic that you'd love to talk about, we probably already have a category in the Discord for it. And if we don't, we will gladly add it. So please join us on Discord. We would love to see you. And I think that's it.
That's all I got. And as I always say, peace, love, blessings, and may the force be with you always.